Information presented in this video focuses on 4th grade science performance on the CRCT. It's disaggregated by gender and represents economically disadvantaged students. The years covered are 2011, 2012, and 2013. One thing that I noted is that the CCRPI data was not available for 2010 or 2015, and I was not able to access disaggregated data for 2014 CRCT. The reason I chose this area was that although 4th grade is not a promotion test year per se, improvements in this grade will help to improve weaknesses for 3rd graders and build the foundation needed for a successful 5th grade. Strong science instruction is critical to a STEAM curriculum. Centennial Place Elementary School is an inner-city public school, K-5, in Atlanta. And as you can see, our population is 89% African American. We have very small numbers of Caucasian, Hispanic, and Asian students, no identified Native American students. One of the challenges that this race-ethnic description causes is that it is very difficult to get disaggregated data from state reports, because typically data is not reported for fewer than 10 students, and we have fewer than 10 of each of these groups. The gender enrollment for Centennial Place is about half and half. We have slightly more girls than boys, and a total free and reduced price lunch eligible population of 69%. We do classify as a Title I elementary school. Over the past 3 years, 2011, 12, and 13, Centennial Place has consistently performed above the City of Atlanta and the Georgia average students for meeting and exceeding standards for the Science CRCT. As earlier noted, Centennial Place Elementary School 4th graders have consistently performed above state and district rates in science proficiency. Science achievement has been increasing steadily in all areas since 2011, but not at high rates. We seem to have kind of plateaued off. One thing of note for Centennial Place is that our African American students' 4th grade proficiency. Students are significantly above the academic performance on Science CRCT for both Atlanta Public Schools and across the state of Georgia. When looking at gender rates, Centennial Place Elementary girls in the 4th grade also perform at very high rates. However, they are slightly below the state rates for meeting and achieving science standards, although still significantly above the performance rates for girls across the rest of the district. The boys at Centennial Place Elementary School also meet and exceed Science CRCT standards, just below the rate of performance for students across the state of Georgia, but they're still performing considerably higher than other Atlanta boys. When you look at the performance on CRCT for girls compared with boys at Centennial Place, still our students are performing at fairly high levels, and they seem to be swapping out. One year the girls are performing at higher rates, meeting and exceeding the science standards, and then the girls slip below the boys, and then they're pretty closely met. It's interesting that since the population of the 4th grade is pretty evenly divided between boys and girls, it's interesting to notice that the performance of girls and boys are very similar also in terms of their meeting and exceeding science standards. We don't perform quite as well when looking at economically disadvantaged students. If you'll recall from earlier in the presentation, our school has about 69% students who are free and reduced price lunch eligible. However, our economically disadvantaged students perform below the state averages to meet and exceed science standards, and very closely to the performance of other students and other economically disadvantaged students in the city of Atlanta. There are a few observations that can be made from this data. Centennial Place fourth graders as a group perform slightly above other Georgia fourth graders on the CRCT, with 84% meeting and exceeding standards compared with 83% statewide. Centennial Place African American students consistently perform higher than African American students across Georgia and in other Atlanta public schools over the past 3 years. Centennial Place boys in the fourth grade have performed higher meeting and exceeding standards in science than other fourth grade boys in Georgia. Boys and girls in the fourth grade at Centennial Place are fairly evenly represented, and they meet or exceed science standards on the CRCT at very similar rates. Economically disadvantaged students at Centennial Place in the fourth grade have made significant gains in science performance since 2011, from 59% meeting or exceeding science standards to 74%. However, they continue to perform at lower levels than other low-income fourth graders in Georgia. It can be inferred from this data that our efforts in providing after-school tutorial program, including making sure we have transportation for those of our students who are in transitional housing, have contributed to significant gains in science achievement for our low-income students since 2011. Also, our teachers' dedicated commitment to gender-neutral science instruction contributes to equitable science achievement between boys and girls. As a STEAM-focused school, how can we improve our science instruction to improve understanding and achievement for low-income fourth grade students? Another challenge that we face in the coming year is to think of specific actions we could take to reduce or eliminate gaps, however small, between the science proficiency of fourth grade boys and girls. And finally, since 2011, we've seen science achievement that has increased but not significantly. What can we do as a faculty to increase fourth grade science understanding and achievement and move off that plateau so we can meet and exceed science standards at higher rates? Following review of item level data from the 2014 CRCT, the instructional leadership team will begin planning specific science learning activities to improve science achievement and address these issues. Thank you for allowing me to share this data overview with you.